You're listening to the Junto Podcast, a podcast about leadership, faith, community, and pretty much anything else that you want to talk about. Visit us at www.juntopodcast.com. That's JUNTO podcast.com. Thanks for stopping by and enjoy the show. Talking all things EQ, not IQ, EQ on episode 94 of the Junto Podcast. Welcome to the Junto Podcast. That's right, the Together Podcast. And Heather, some of us are extremely smart. We're very intelligent, highly intelligent. Right. But what is EQ? This whole thing, it's not necessarily as much of a buzzword as it used to be. I remember when it first came on the scene, EQ talking about emotional intelligence. But it is a thing. It's something that is worthy of our conversation. So today we're talking about EQ. And first of all, what are your thoughts right out the gate on EQ, how we can become more self-aware, all of those things?
Yeah. I think that most people are familiar with IQ. You know, you can take an IQ test and see how brilliant you are.
Brilliant. That's right.
I think of like book smarts. You know, you talk to someone and they're like, man, they're so book smart. They just have lots of knowledge. And then on the other side of the coin, it's like they don't have much common sense. So I feel like the EQ kind of brings in the common sense part.
Oh, I see.
I don't know. That's just my take on it.
That is an interesting perspective, and this is why this conversation is important. And another reason I think it's important, guys, if you're new to the Junto Podcast, we're always talking all things leadership, faith, community, parenting, mental health, all those things. And specifically, as it relates to EQ, I think it's important in relationships, specifically in marriages. It could be helpful in understanding some things in marriage.
Well.
Parenting. Gosh, we're going to talk about Gen Z. We're going to talk if you're parenting teenagers or young adults that are living in your home. This idea of EQ is important. And so I think one of the things that we're going to hit on in just a second, I don't want to get too far ahead, but is this generational thing and how as generations go, you know, millennials, Gen Z, baby boomers, yada, yada, there are differences. And so we're going to discuss that. But before we dig too deep into that, give us some general information, my highly intelligent, beautiful queen here.
He's saying that I have the book smarts, but not the common sense.
You know
That's what that meant.
I am not going to lie. When you said that, I was going to say that I would think you fell into that category, but you went on to say that they don't have common sense, and
Not
so I was like,
everyone.
I'm glad I didn't say that because. But for real though, out of the two of us, I would definitely say you're more studious, you're more book smart, your brain processes differently. I am not like I have to work at being book smart. I have to make myself do those things
you got street smarts.
I guess, girl,
He's from the streets.
On. I will tear you up.
He's from the streets.
When it comes to IQ on the streets, come on.
Yeah.
That I can do.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's true and it's funny.
It is funny and it is true.
Right. So back to EQ, emotional intelligence, okay? And there are tests that you can take for this as well.
That's true.
Just like the IQ. So EQ has been proven to be twice as valuable as intellectual intelligence.
Wow.
And technical skills combined in determining success. So EQ and technical skills. All right. 80% of the characteristics that set high achievers apart from others stem from EQ. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, what's it good for?
Well,
what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Right. One more thing. EQ is comprised of two main components. Number one, recognizing, understanding, and managing our own emotions. Okay. Number two, recognizing, understanding, and influencing the emotions of others.
Wow. That's deep.
Those are the two components there.
And I want to say real quick, I think we're in some spheres, I guess, in professional spheres and in a corporate sphere. EQ can be also known as EI, emotional intelligence. It is the same. And this article from LinkedIn, it sheds some light on that. It says, emotional intelligence is a cornerstone for successful change management and digital transformation. Now, we're going to talk about this. This doesn't just pertain to the workplace, but here it is. EI involves recognizing, understanding, managing, and influencing one's own emotions, and like you said, and the emotions of others. It includes self-awareness, self-regulation,
Yes.
social, listen to this, social awareness, and relationship management. So this is not just as it pertains to the workplace, but this is as it pertains to all of our relationships. And I'll say real quick, man, it's crazy when you really start thinking about this stuff, how relevant it is, and how much it affects us. And IQ is one thing, but this EI or EQ is the cornerstone
Right.
here.
We did.
Is
It's
it?
been quite a while.
It's been
It's
quite
been a little bit. It's
a
been a
while.
little bit.
Anyways, nonetheless, scroll down our catalog, and we did do an episode on self-awareness. Oh, it's episode 64, self-awareness, how not to be clueless about yourself.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just thought I'd tag that too.
That's good. I like that.
But yeah, give us some more
I
info.
like it. Well, I've got a questionnaire here, but I want to save that. So I want to go into the what you were talking about with the generational differences.
Got it.
If you
Yeah,
that over
so
there.
before I get into that, let me say that things aren't always cut and dry. I went to a training, it's probably been about a year ago, just with the work that I do in higher education. And so this stuff is very relevant. Like EQ is something that comes up all the time because we have to understand, when you're working in a teaching or a higher education environment that involves students, you have to understand them. You have to know how to reach them.
Right.
And so when we get to the Gen Z component, there were some things that really surprised me. We're not going to start there, but let's get into this. Keep in mind, this doesn't just pertain to work, but this is relationships. So baby boomers. I wonder how many boomers we got listening
You're
to the
a
show.
boomer, aren't you?
I don't know. Me? I'm not a
Are you?
boomer, girl. So if you're a boomer, that means you were born
You're booming.
between 1946 and 1964.
That's our parents.
Girl, you called me a boomer,
I was
bruh.
kidding.
All right, so boomers, they're still with us. They're still rolling.
Hey, the boomers are hardcore.
I was gonna say they are.
They know how to get stuff done. I'm
You
just
you even
saying.
might see them still commenting on stuff. Boomers be
Hey.
Facebooking like a mug,
Yeah.
man. Like, I see
love
some
it.
boomers like, go to bed, man. It's past your bedtime.
Stop.
That's terrible,
No,
but it's
I love
true.
it. So you said 1947
1946 to 1964. Baby boomers bring a wealth of experience and wisdom to the table.
Yeah.
Their extensive work history gives them a deep understanding of interpersonal dynamics and conflict resolution, crucial
Right.
in navigating organizational change. And here are some things that they bring to the table in terms of strengths. One, if they're booming now, if you're a boomer, you're booming, you have extensive work history and experience, okay?
Right.
You have a deep understanding of interpersonal dynamics. Keep in mind, boomers were here way before these little gadgets were here.
Yep.
They actually had to talk to people, and
They had to know things. They couldn't just
that's exactly right.
pick it up in Google,
And they had a different perspective. Think about it. Now, most people are not nearly as handy as the boomers are. Back then, boomers were just handy. They weren't their last resort was to call someone. They were going to try to fix
Right.
it themselves first. Or they were going to do their best. Now we're the exact opposite in our culture. We'll call
we
someone
gotta
first. We're like, I'm not
fix
going to
this.
waste
Get me out
time
of this.
trying to fix this. I'd rather
No.
spend the money.
Right. That's terrible.
Number one, we have to think about that as it relates to work because, man, if there aren't tradespeople around,
I know.
if
That's just some of those technical skills.
what's going to happen? It's crazy. So they bring a lot of strengths to the table. They have proven adaptability and are. I guess they can adapt to technological changes. They've had to. They've been here the longest, longer than us.
Hey,
so
my dad's texting. He'd text me back. He'd put little emojis. He does it.
he might ask you how to insert a picture into a text, but he's texting.
He gets it done. But no, when you were saying all these things about the baby boomers, I'm thinking of my dad, your dad, or Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe. Everybody's got an Uncle Joe.
Everybody's got an Uncle
In
Joe.
my case, it's still Jose. But
These men, like women too, the women too. I mean, your mom, my gosh, they're all so resourceful, regulate it.
They do,
They
man.
don't. They're, they depend on others, but they do their utmost
Yeah.
that they can do before. You know what I mean? I think about all the things that we catch my dad and Uncle Joe doing that, cutting down trees.
Still
and,
in their
man,
70s. I
yes,
mean, you
doing
go out
things.
there to their house, you never know what they're doing. They're going to be working on something,
Always
though.
fixing stuff.
It's crazy.
Making things better.
It's crazy. Here's some insights with the boomers to watch for. And keep in mind, we're talking about EQ. We're talking about personality. We're talking about how we function. It says their preference is face-to-face communication.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
It's like they want to see
Yes.
somebody. They want to be face-to-face.
My dad, he doesn't want to talk on the phone.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Value placed on job security and stability. Now, keep in mind, this article is LinkedIn. It is going to be geared a little bit more towards work type, organizational type things. But I think it's still relevant.
Well, it's relationships. It all boils down to relationships, even in the workforce.
That's exactly right.
It's about managing relationships and people. And so that's just life, any relationship.
Absolutely. What else did you have for us before we go on to Generation X? Because I thought you had some additional stuff over there in your little repertoire of resources.
Well, we talked about the two main components of EQ. And I think there are probably a lot of people out there who don't even know, like this, maybe this is the first time they're hearing EQ.
Yeah, that's true. Or EI, emotional intelligence. Either one, it's the same thing.
Right. And so I think getting a grasp on that concept and just the self-awareness aspect of it. And I think, this day and age, that's something that, I don't know. I feel like with devices and everything, I feel like we are very aware of everyone and everything else.
All the time.
Because we have the access to it, right? So, we're with ourselves all the time, but we're not like staring at ourselves. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's harder to see something in yourself than it is, in others.
Yeah.
I think we're quick to like see things in others, but when it comes to ourselves, we're like, I don't know, not so aware.
No, you're right, 100%.
If that makes sense.
It makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy that, as we age or the different generational things, I guess how the perspective changes. And so self-awareness and those things are really huge, super interesting. And so now we'll move in to the category that I fall into. Gosh, this is terrible.
We're not in the same category, by the way.
I know. And by the way, I was almost a millennial. I missed it by 2 years.
Almost.
So I'm still kind of young, okay? I say that just to say I'm Gen X, but I'm late Gen X. If you're Gen X, that means you were born between 1965 and 1980. All right. So I was born in 1978.
So I was
almost
2 years.
a millennial. Almost a millennial.
You missed millennial by 2 years. I missed Gen X by 2 years.
Dude, that is funny, hilarious.
Yep.
So we're youngish.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Ish.
we're in the range.
We're in the range.
Somewhere.
Exactly. So Gen X is characterized by adaptability and independence. That sounds just like me. Making them well suited for driving change, having grown up during significant technological and social changes,
right.
such as the rise of the internet and mobile technology. They are comfortable navigating new challenges and new environments. So some of the strengths are high adaptability and independence, strong problem-solving skills. I can solve some problems. Hallelujah.
Problems.
Exactly.
And make problems.
Oh, yeah. I can make my fair share too, but I'll solve them. So,
right.
Crazy stuff. Some of the strategies or insights to look out for is that's the desire for clear and transparent communication.
Wow.
Is that not me?
I mean, yeah. I think you checked all the boxes there. Seems like
Exactly.
to some degree. You're pretty adaptable.
What about insights? Come on, I know you got some insights for us on this stuff.
Well, I think about, I don't know, I saw this meme or follow this thing. It's like 90s kids, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, or whatever. And I guess near the end, when did AOL? When did the internet? When was
my
it?
gosh.
What was the
Yeah.
beginning?
Early
Anyway,
90s,
I
dude.
just think
Yeah.
of the logging on and the process, and I can still
Yes.
hear the
Hear it.
sound
That's right.
of, the computer. I'm just trying to it's logging in to AOL. You go to AOL, www.aol.com.
Well, and we get
wild.
mad. We get mad now when it takes a split second for
That's wild.
for things to pull up. But then, I mean, it was like a 10-minute wait just to log into the internet.
Oh, it was torture.
Oh, and then chat rooms back then. Chat rooms. That was the thing. Like, that was crazy. That
Chat
was
rooms.
crazy. Unreal.
What do you mean? Tell me about that. What?
Well, I'm just
Chat
saying,
rooms.
it's like that was the thing to do. That
Yeah.
that's why people logged
So that
on.
was like the Facebook.
That was like the
or
Facebook,
the way
yeah.
to communicate.
I mean, I'm sure there were inappropriate things that you could do, but that's when I say chat rooms, that's not what I was
Yeah.
referring to. It was just like people talking and connecting, and it was my first experience with a digital conversation.
Yeah.
Like, and you
Yeah.
think to yourself, wow, that's really another person sitting behind a computer typing
Yeah.
this message.
Typing
You
back
know what
to
I mean?
me,
Now
typing
it's
back to me.
nothing.
Right,
You
because
know,
we
we
text
text, but back then,
Yeah.
it was
DMs. We got the DMs now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, here are some stats. I didn't say this about the boomers, but how does this relate in terms of mental health? Because we're talking about EQ, we're talking about self-awareness. Going back to, let's bring it back into some mental health stuff. For
Yeah.
boomers raised in an era where mental health was less discussed, maybe less likely to seek professional help even when struggling.
Yeah.
And think about that. We talked about how self-reliant they were,
Yeah.
how resilient they were. They really didn't rely on anybody else. We do see that it's becoming more common, though, for them now in their later age to seek. And then as far as Gen X goes in terms of mental health, because when I think of EQ, I think of wellness, self-wellness. We
Right.
think about how was the person, how are they relating to society, how are they functioning. Gen X, often known for its resilience and independence, may face unique mental health challenges related to juggling multiple responsibilities such as careers, aging parents, and teenagers. Some Gen Xers may still harbor skepticism about mental health support, potentially leading to underreporting of mental health issues.
Yeah.
And so you can see how generationally people handle this type of behavior and things. So
Right. Well, like we were talking about with the onset of the internet and now with the phones and social media, it's a whole different level of having to be aware. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because of the downloaded information that we get every day. I know we talk about that all the time.
Right.
That we have access to all this information. Like, there's a lot we have to be aware of.
It is. It is a lot.
And
yeah.
and I think what gets put on the back burner is our own awareness.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's it.
Right?
Yeah.
We're aware of the celebrities. We're aware of what's going on the TV. We're aware of, you name it. Everybody's got their best life on Facebook and Instagram and, all the TikTok stuff. So
Yeah.
we're aware of everyone else except ourselves, it seems like.
Yeah.
Let me read this.
Okay, sweet.
Just a little bit deeper into the components
I like
of
it.
EQ.
I like it.
So the self-awareness, we talked about that. Understanding your own emotions and how they affect your behavior.
Wow.
So that's a whole other step.
Well, and see, I think that's the important part.
Right.
How does this really affect how we act? Let's go a little deeper with that.
Self-regulation, managing your emotions and impulses. Okay. In the age of, I want it now, I need it now, I can get it now, basically. Social awareness, understanding the emotions of others and empathizing with them. And then relationship management, building and maintaining positive relationships.
Yeah.
So the importance, this is why it's important. High EQ can lead to better communication, stronger relationships, and greater success in personal and professional life.
Wow. Yeah.
And how do we do this?
How?
Like, we're
That's
talking about
it
it.
right
Like,
there.
we know, now what? So emotional intelligence can be developed and improved through practice and self-awareness.
Gotcha.
Right?
That's good. I mean, so that's the thing. The good part about this, I believe, is that no matter what generation you are, like, you can always become more self-aware.
Oh, always.
You know, like
Right,
I'm
right.
actually introspective all the time. I'm aware of my age. I'm aware of things I can and can't do. I'm aware of the time that has passed
Yep.
and the time that I have left.
Yeah.
Which no one really
Yeah.
knows how much time we have left.
Right.
But let's just be
Right.
honest. But the time we hope we have
We think
left,
that we have,
that
or
we
hope,
think
yeah.
that we have,
Yeah,
that we hope that we have.
Very true.
So all of those things, I think, are in the sphere of self-awareness, introspection, and EQ.
Yes.
And it plays out into our relationships, how we treat others, even in the workplace, and we see that's important. And so let's move in real quick to millennials, because we still got to talk real quick
Tell me about us
millennials
millennials.
and Gen Z. So millennials were those born in 1981 through 1996. The first generation to grow up with the internet and digital technology are exceptionally tech savvy. Their proficiency with modern tools can drive innovation and efficiency in the workplace. So, some of the strengths: you're highly proficient with digital tools, strong teamwork, and collaborative skills.
Okay.
You're motivated by purpose and meaningful work. You do have a desire for continuous learning and development. And some of your strategies include you like to look for opportunities for continuous learning and quick wins. So it's that kind of, I need gratification
Go get it.
and I need it soon.
I got to get stuff done.
That's it. That's
Right now.
exactly right.
I'm gonna do it right now. Yeah, I don't know about myself and the tech savvy. Since I'm on the very early ends of this millennial stage, I think I'm, I've adapted, but I'm a little bit of a techno curse.
Yeah, yeah.
As my family would say. So,
Well, and so as it relates to the mental health part, y'all just crazy. No, I'm kidding. Here we go. While millennials
Here we go.
generally fare better than Gen Z in terms of mental health, they still experience challenges, including higher rates of anxiety and depression. Millennials are also more open to seeking mental health support than previous generations, but it's interesting to see that I don't know. I don't know if there's a direct correlation, but it seems like those born with the advent of technology already here.
Thank you for listening to the Junto Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find our link to YouTube and social media at juntopodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.